Hello, Commanders. It's Blue Max, and we're back with another Watcher of Realms video. If you're watching this at the time of recording, we are about to enter into the Count Dracula collaborative event once again, and there are going to be a whopping number of banners. 5 in total. And I'm going to take you through each one of these banners and help you to come up with a framework to decide which banners to summon on and which ones to pass on. And I'm going to explain to you my thought process of how I'm going to summon. And since I'm pretty much just a mid game player, I'm not an in game, I'm not a whale. Hopefully, my advice and my strategy will help you to create yours. All right, so here is our spreadsheet, and I'm going to try as much as possible to rapid fire through these and just get straight to the information. So we've got a limited summon, guaranteed 200 for Lady Mina. She is a bit mid. She is about to get a buff. We'll find out in the next day or two whether that buff makes her viable in Matrix again. Then we have the Van Helsing and Choose Your Own Hero banner. Van Helsing is one of the best AoE marksmen in the game. You should definitely pick him up if you haven't already. And you're going to be able to, just like the previous event, choose your own hero. What I mean by that is the last time this collaboration event took place, you were able to choose your own hero. And I will be providing some guidelines as well as telling you which heroes I'm going to go for on my two accounts. We're going to do that on a video that will be released in the morning. Next, we have the Nyx and Helga banner. And I think they chose Nyx and Helga because Nyx is a vampire hunter and Helga looks like a vampire. Now, a lot of people are going to tell you to pass on this banner, and I'm going to tell you you should probably pass on this banner as well, but I will give some caveats, and that is, while Van Helsing may be the best AoE physical marksman in the game, Nyx is very good. And in some content, such as Furious Torrent, I get higher scores with Nyx than I do Van Helsing, and that's with gear swapping, and in both cases, I have their exclusive artifact. Now, let's go to the Ancient banners. And the first one, the most important one, is the Count Dracula Rivenhall banner. And just like with the previous event, if you do a total of 90 pulls on this banner, you will get a copy of Count Dracula. So many people got him and found out that he was just absolutely busted in single target and anti-air arena as well as GVG defense. And I'll tell you, every time I go up against a defense that has Count Dracula, I pause and I look for another target. Okay? So I'm definitely going to go for him, and I think you should too. And Rivenhald, who is the Lord also on Raid Up, is a very, very good Lord. He is a North Throne tactician. He does healing, inspiration, and shields. Very, very solid in a lot of game modes. And finally, and this one caught me by surprise, you have Gon and Carnelian, but I guess it makes sense because Gon did just recently get a buff. Now, he has historically been a very mid defender who acts like a fighter, whose damage goes off of defense. And up to this point, Watcher of Realms has not created a very viable hero like that. But we will see in the next few days whether that buff he just received is enough to push him over the edge. And then Carnelian is a very, very clutch GVG defense healer, one of the 3 healers in the game that has life save. You should definitely consider her if you are big into GVG. Next, we're going to go over my strategy and my plans for how I plan to summon. All right, so I'm going to start off, first of all, by waiting until Saturday so that the Ancient exclusive banners are on as well. And I'm going to try to do everything in one session. I'm going to start off with that limited pool with Lady Mina. Now, presently, I'm sitting at a pity of maybe 2 or 3, because if you watch my previous videos, you know that I had a bit of a pity party over pulling Razak on that Gear Raid 3-pack. And so I decided to drown my sorrows by pulling Ezran off banner. Not a good situation. But moving on, what I'm going to do, let's say my pity is 5. I'm going to do 4 single pulls to get my pity to 9. Then I'm going to do 17 10 pulls. And I recommend get a sheet of paper, get a pen and pencil, and use little hash marks for every 10 pull you make. That way it's easy for you to keep track. Now, if you pull Lady Mina early on in banner, then you're done. you don't have to pull all the way to 200. But if you miss her, either that is you don't get a legendary at all, or you get an off banner, then you have to go all the way. For my scenario, we're going to assume that we go all the way to pity for Lady Mina. Now, I'm going to go all the way to 179 pity. And in my hypothetical of starting with the pity of 5, I believe that means I'll be at 174 for Mina. But as soon as I hit that 179 pity, I'm going to swap over to the Van Helsing Choose Your Own banner, and I'm going to single pull until I hit a legendary. And it doesn't matter what I get, doesn't matter if I get Van Helsing or my hero selector or an off banner. I'm then going to stop, go back to Lady Mina, and we should be at, again, 174. So I'll do 5 single pulls to get to 179. Then I'll do another single pull to get to 180. And then we'll do 2 10 pulls. And then we'll be done. We'll have our copy of Lady Mina. At that point, if I pulled a hero on banner, I will probably move on. But let me give some caveats to that. If I get Van Helsing, I may go ahead and go for another legendary on the Choose Your Own banner, Choose Your Own Hero banner, because the hero I'm going to be selecting is one that I really, really want. And so I may give it one more try. Let's do the math again. The first time you hit a legendary on a rate up banner, you have a 40% chance of getting one or the other. If you miss, that number goes up to over 80%. Chances are you're going to hit on the second, but if you miss again, and that does happen, then you will almost certainly get your rate up hero on the third. But here's the key thing you have to understand. Once you hit one of the 2 rate up heroes on the banner, then the likelihood of getting one of the rate up heroes rolls back to that 20x. And if you do the math, that means you're going to have about an 18 and 19% chance of pulling one or the other of the rate up heroes. So to make things simple, let's just say you have a 1 in 5 chance. So if I get Van Helsing as my first rate up hero, but I am determined to get my hero selector, I could have to do 5 additional pulls before I have a mathematical probability of getting it. Now that doesn't mean that it'll take 5 pulls, which could be up to 1,000 summons, but it means that mathematically that could happen. So it can be a real easy slippery slope to start chasing after that second copy of a rate up hero on banner. And in my experience, either it works out really well for me, or I end up with an Edith, a Seraphina, and an Azor. Yes, that has actually happened. Now, granted, Edith, that was my first copy of her. That was A0, and she has been very, very handy in Gear Dungeon 2, but you get my gist. So, moving on, the only way I'm going to go for a Nyx and Helga is going to be if I just have absolutely crazy pull luck like I did in one of my very first videos in which I just kept hitting legendaries. If I do that and I have enough summons, then I may go for it. Now my Nyx is a 1, so if I do happen to pull on that banner and I get another Nyx, that will just be a 2. That won't be super great, but Nyx is a very powerful character and I use her a lot. But if I could get Helga, that would be really cool. I'd like to add her to my collection, and she could be super helpful in the Styx Codex. But let's move on to the Rivenhold and Count Dracula. This is the real important one. I am at 118 Ancient Pity, and I would be more than happy to get Rivenhold. So what I will do, most likely, is pull on this banner until I hit Rivenhold. And once that happens, whether that's early or late, I'm going to stop knowing that we have several weeks to get Count Dracula. I'm going to stop and I'm going to hop over to that Gone and Carnelian banner, and I'm going to basically pull with what I have left in the hopes of getting Carnelian. Why? Because GVG matters a lot to me. And so if I get her, I'm going to be absolutely thrilled. And if I don't, then I tried. And that's pretty much it. That's all I have for you. So I hope this has been super helpful. In summary, Get a copy of Lady Mina because you never know when she's going to become busted, or you never know when she'll come back. While you're at it, try to pick up a copy of Van Helsing as well as whatever hero you choose. Chances are you should pass on the Nyx and Helga banner unless you are just absolutely determined to get one of those two heroes. And from there, focus on getting Count Dracula. Now, if you already have a copy of Rivenhall, then it becomes a little bit dicier whether you continue to pull. But I would say if you do not have a copy of Dracula and you have Rivenhold, you just have to take your chances that you may get an A1 of Rivenhold, because getting Count Dracula is going to be absolutely clutch for a lot of very important PvP game modes. And finally, I think if you have some extra summons lying around and you don't have a copy of Carnelian and GVG is important to you, especially defense, you have to give Carnelian a try. That's my advice. Thank you for watching. Bye for now.